Hello, my name is Tony. It's been 5 years since the death of Sir Roger Moore, and still he remains sorely missed. By me, anyway. Moore was the first screen Bond from the official franchise to die. Connery was the second, yet Brosnan still sucks oxygen. Somehow, doesn't seem fair, does it? Rog was not my favourite Bond, but he was the one I grew up with as a more self-aware teenager. As self-aware as teenagers can conceivably be, that is. He was a TV hero of mine from The Saint and The Persuaders. In the 70s, he was the highest paid British movie actor. He was not a fawn-in lovey or self-obsessed egocentric. He was a good-looking guy who got lucky in life, and he knew it, and never forgot it. Self-effacing to the last, he jokingly mocked his lack of acting talent, self-deprecated as a matter of course, recognised his limitations and turned them to his advantage. He was more capable and versatile than he thought, as proven by his performance in The Man Who Haunted Himself in 1969. When that film failed to find an audience, he made a conscious decision to stop trying so hard and just concentrate on being a star, because that's what he was, or rather what Bond ultimately made him. Something else he acknowledged, never forgot, and was always grateful for. In 1984, he suspected that his time as the world's least secretive secret agent was coming to an end. He was 57 and had been playing the part for 11 years in 6 films. A View to a Kill in 1985 would be his 7th and last. So in preparation for his swan song, and feeling he might like to broker a move away from action hero roles into something a little more dramatic and psychological, he agreed to take the lead in the Cannon-produced thriller The Naked Face. How did that work out for him? Well, could have been worse, I suppose. Anyway, first I'm going to tell you a joke. I don't tell jokes very often, as one of my female managers once alleged after an outspoken outburst of mine. The trouble with you, Tony, is you have no sense of humour. Do you also have a problem with intelligent, strong, capable women? Dunno, I replied. Never met one. So this scruffy loping hunchback goes for a job at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. The caretaker takes him to the top of the bell tower and tells him that what they're looking for is someone who can handle the massive iron bell. So, show me what you can do, Humpy. The guy lopes up to the bell at speed and headbutts it, and it tolls out magnificently. Wow, do that again until I tell you to stop, says the caretaker. And so he does. Lopes, headbutts, over and over. The cathedral superintendent, on hearing this beautiful cacophony, arrives on the scene to see what's going on. Mon Dieu, he exclaims on seeing the performance of the hunchback. What is the name of this man? Dunno, the caretaker replies. But his face rings a bell. These are the jokes, folks, here all week. The Naked Face is based on a 1970 novel of the same name by Sidney Sheldon. Sheldon was a successful novelist in the mould of a poor man's Harold Robbins or male Barbara Taylor Bradford, with a dash of Jackie Collins' racy genitalia baiting thrown in for good measure. Slick, glossy, sexy, transatlantic airport fodder, ideal for staving off the boredom of an extended wait for a delayed flight in the departure lounge. The sort of books that if you never finish them, it doesn't really matter. You're happy to leave them with the corner of page 227 turned down, just in case you ever decide to pick them up again, which in all likelihood you won't and don't. Still, Sheldon's high-gloss literary tripe sold gazillions and was popular, so I can see why this proposition appealed to Rog. Plus, 2 of his old friends, director Brian Forbes and actor David Hedison, were also involved in the project. Add to that, the supporting cast included Elliot Gould, Rod Steiger, Art Carney and Anne Archer, and things must have looked like they were shaping up nicely. Forbes was a director who lacked real potency and creative style and punch, staunchly competent but mediocre. He wrote the script. He'd been an uncredited producer on The Man Who Haunted Himself. Some cause for concern then, unless he's a mate and you're prepared to cut him some slack. The Naked Face was to be his final big screen directing gig, and in fairness he was bringing it in ahead of schedule and under budget. Until Cannon, infamous hack movie producers, were bankrolling. At this stage, they had amassed a string of recent underperforming releases in their wake, and they slashed the budget for The Naked Face midway through production, which may explain why the end product feels somewhat rushed and flimsy. So, Rog is Chicago-based psychiatrist or psychoanalyst Judd Stevens. He's a widower, having lost his wife and daughter in a car crash, and when we first see him, he's visiting their grave. Yep, that one, with the small writing on you can barely see. An unknown person in a car trains a sniper rifle on him. I wonder if this is a sign someone is out to kill him. Could it be? You think? Anyway, one of his patients, a secretly gay guy who's got a wife and kids, borrows Stevens' yellow raincoat, and after leaving his office gets stabbed to death buying some flowers. You don't think this could be a case of mistaken identity, do you? And someone is out to kill Stevens, but got the wrong man. Then there's this guy in a wheelchair lurking about. Forbes focuses on him a lot. He keeps turning up here and there. Wonder if he could be involved. A super belligerent police detective, Lieutenant McGreary Rod Steiger, turns up at Stevens' office with his bloody raincoat and partner, Detective Angeli Elliott Gould, in tow. They're investigating the murder of Stevens' patient. McGreary holds a grudge against Stevens because his testimony got the guy who killed his former partner a successful insanity plea and a nice cushy number in a state mental facility. He lets it be known that Stevens is his prime suspect. Stevens has a new patient, Anne Blake, Anne Archer, and she's a bit evasive, cagey, something up with her, but she won't let on what it is. Maybe she's the key to all this. Then Stevens' office is ransacked. His secretary is stripped, beaten, tortured, strangled and stabbed. Probably goes without saying, but she's dead. McGreary thinks Stevens did it, but Angeli thinks maybe someone was looking for something. Clearly the spirit of the great Sherlock Holmes lives on in this pair. Incisive investigative genius literally pulsates within them. But if someone was looking for something, what could it be? Information on one of Stevens' patients, perhaps? Nah, that wouldn't be it, would it? I mean, if it was, why torture the secretary? Doesn't make sense. What could she know about the comings and goings of patients? Remember Engelbert Crippled Dick, the guy in the wheelchair I mentioned? He swaps out his usual ride for a modified Harley-Davidson three-wheeled hog and sidecar combo. He tries to run Stevens over in an alley, but the shrink escapes with a mild concussion. McGreary doesn't buy his story though, but at least his surgeon brother-in-law, Dr. Peter Hadley, David Hedison, is in his corner. Two men masquerading as the doorman and the lift attendant in Stevens' apartment block try to shoot him, leaving a stray bullet in a stuffed teddy bear as evidence. Hadley helps Stevens escape the two killers. McGreary still doesn't buy his story. Even when the real doorman and lift guy are found tied up in a closet, he remains convinced that Stevens is guilty of something somehow. Stevens, in desperation, turns to an elderly and eccentric private detective, Morgans, Art Carney. Morgans finds a bomb planted in Stevens' car. McGreary still doesn't. Oh, for fuck's sake, come on. No one is this fucking stupid. Let's cut to the chase. Anne Archer's character is married to a mafia kingpin, Cortini, Ron Parody, the most aptly and ironically named actor in the cast. Cortini doesn't want his wife spilling her guts to no shrink, see? So he's trying to hit the guy, see? And find out what his mouthy missus has been saying, see? And Detective Angeli is working for Cortini. He's a bad cop feeding information back to the boss man, see? And McGreary and his superior know this, which is why McGreary is being deliberately obtuse and aggressive and a real dumb shit son of a bitch towards Stevens to smoke out the bad guys, see? See? You do see, yeah? This is not intelligent filmmaking. Something which you probably gathered. I don't know whether Forbes rushed the script or whether it was unfinished or if there was no time to review, revise, polish or rewrite it. But his screenplay and his direction clunk like fossilized rhino shit dropped into a copper-bottom commode liner. That's the downside to all this. Writing and direction is not good. If this can be attributed to the impact of Canon slashing the budget at the midpoint in production, I can't definitively say. What I could allow though is I doubt if it helped in any positive way. There is, however, some fun and amusement to be had. So I'm going to concentrate on the positives, focus on the chuckles and good cheer. God help me. Roger Moore is miscast. He doesn't convince as a grief-stricken psychiatrist whose life is suddenly in peril. It's a persona that doesn't suit his smooth and confident, faintly laid-back style of screen acting. His performance isn't bad, so don't get me wrong, and he really does try his best, but somehow it just isn't him. Okay, so you're thinking, why pick this as a review subject and memorial on the 5-year anniversary of his death? Well, I'll tell you. Moore is the main reason for watching it. With someone else headlining, maybe it would have been a better film. On the other hand, maybe it would have been much worse. But he is the factor that keeps the ropey thing on the rails, gives it that elusive sparkle, that star quality, without which interest would surely dwindle and wane long before the end. And it's a testament to the man that his mere presence elevates it and keeps it watchable. Unless, of course, you don't like Roger Moore, but I do, and he's the reason I'm not wasting my time here. Dr. Judd Stevens, you know this man is of some intelligence because he's wearing a giant-sized pair of glasses. Clearly, his is not the naked face of the title, not with that furniture planted on it. I mean, they're the sort of thing Elton John would wear if he had his flamboyance surgically removed or was attending a funeral for a dead pet or princess. These bins are fucking big. Michael Caine XXL plus size eyewear. I've never been able to get over the magnitude of their footprint. Apparently, Rod Steiger arrived on set with a face full of facial scars from recent cosmetic surgery. This provided the makeup artist with a challenge, and gives his character the deathly complexion of the underbelly of a freeze-dried trout. Additionally, someone should have shot his wig maker. This one looks as if he got the pelt of a limpid stoat nail gun to his cranium. And Steiger is off the chart. So wild-eyed and ranting, overacting in overdrive, you half expect steam to bleed from his ears and the bow ties he wears to start spinning around. His Lieutenant McGreevy comes over, quite frankly, stark raving mad. As such, it's something that needs to be seen to be believed, and it's a riot. Elliot Gould coasts along in a low-key monotone way, like a man who's just woken up and doesn't quite know where he is or why he's there, but doesn't have the energy to try and make sense of it. Anne Archer channels that vulnerable high-class woman on the edge vibe quite nicely, and Art Carney is fun as the eccentric private dick who obsessively collects clocks. There is no explicit sex, nudity, violence, or excessive use of bad language, which is why it's always puzzled me that the film got an R rating in the States and an 18 certificate in the UK. Even at the time of release, it's hard to see why a 15 or PG rating wasn't granted. Maybe someone can explain. The aftermath of violence is shown, as with the murder of Stephen's secretary, and at a bloody crime scene McGreevy and Angeli attend, but the acts themselves are never depicted. Outside of a flash of Stephen's dead secretary's naked breasts, there is nothing you would consider gratuitous. The most disturbing aspect of the film is Steiger's performance. Maybe the censors thought it a danger to the mental stability of the audience, and if they did, maybe they had a point. David Gerfinkel's cinematography is nothing special, flatly capturing anonymous Chicago locations and framing the action in a very straightforward and mundane way, and the score by Michael J. Lewis is unmemorable sonic wallpaper. The climax at Cortini's trash processing plant is competently handled, with Gould getting shot in the kneecaps and thrown into a garbage processor, and Moore being beaten up by Cortini and his goons, before McGreevy and his team bust in and start shooting everybody. The final scenes, though, will live on as a high-camp slice of junk movie iconography. Rog and Anne Archer are in the cemetery where the film began. They start coming on to each other as they walk. A gunshot rings out and Archer falls to the ground. As Rog kneels beside her lifeless body, he looks up at the camera and yells, "Bastards!" Freeze here. It's debatable who Rog is addressing, the off-screen sniper, the mafia, or Menahan Golan and Goran Globus, owners and directors of Cannon Studios, or his agent, Cubby Broccoli and Eon Productions, Rod Steiger's hairpiece providers, or the world in general. You can fill in the blanks. There's a lot of bastards out there. The Naked Face is an essential viewing by a long chalk. It did get nominated for some Best Mystery Movie award, but fuck knows why, as the internal signpost in the script provides pretty much eliminates any mystery whatsoever. Still, as I said, I like Rog. I miss him, and I'll watch just about anything with him in it, because I know at the very least, well, he's in it. Thanks for your time and attention. If you feel the need, tap like or don't like, leave a comment of any description, or if you feel an uncontrollable urge to make a commitment to an anonymous fat and mindless Welsh bloke you've never met, subscribe to the channel. Just remember, pilgrims, it's always darkest before the dawn, and everything I do it for me. You're welcome, by the way.